Okay, I think the one thing that everybody can agree on is that 2020 has been like the worst year ever. There's really no getting around it, and it's actually the one thing I feel like everybody can actually agree on. I don't mean it so much in my personal life because I've had worse or weirder personal life years than this one, but I mean for the collective. I mean, it has been so heartbreaking to watch people in old folks' homes not being able to visit their loved ones, people losing their jobs, their livelihoods, their lives. Like, this has been a crushing year. But at the same time, this might be a little unpopular, I feel like 2020 has been one of my most joyous years. And that's what we're going to talk about today on And You Are. So at the beginning of 2020, I was like super committed to just like buckling down in news. I cut my hair off, I got it into like the blonde bob that every anchor should have. I bought more power suits. Like, I was really committed to carving out my niche in Toronto media. But over the last 12 months, as I look back, especially over the last 6 months, I realized that I don't want just a corner. Like, I want to have an entire full life and take up more space. And I really have in that way. So I wanted to count down the 5 things that I'm most grateful for in 2020. Again, I know this is a little odd because it has been such a brutal year, and I'm not fighting that at all. I'm just trying to find the silver linings in this because I think if you look at your own life, there's been a lot. So number 1 for me, obviously having a baby. That's been the biggest joy and also the biggest surprise of this year. So she takes the cake. It's not even really close. Number 2, my health, the health of my family, because it really does put into perspective when you're in a global pandemic how incredibly important that is. I know I sound like all of our grandmothers about, saying that health is wealth, but it's totally true. So I'm really grateful for that. Okay, number 3, my own company. It has been a slower start, but actually surprisingly really fun. And actually, we're getting some traction now. So that's been cool to make my own hours, call my own shots, and make projects that I know that every step of the way I had some kind of imprint on or a say in. And that's been really cool too, to try to find your own voice and your own style and to be creative. And also the tenacity that it requires to run your own business. That's been a huge learning point for me too. So that's number 3, my own company for sure. Now, number 4 for me is renewing old friendships and also making new ones. So I have sent Christmas cards to people that I haven't seen in 10 years because we had more time at home, we had more time to reconnect and reminisce, and there's people in my life that I'm glad are back in it. Like, we didn't fall out of touch for any other reason except just like life moves on. So I'm really grateful that, all these people are back in my life now. And also new friends, which I know sounds a little weird because like we didn't have any get-togethers this year. There was no way to go out and make new friends except online. And that's kind of where I was linked up with Szwed. So she's this incredible person. She was a soccer star before, now she's a Sportsnet star, and we had a mutual friend, and for the last year or so, we've just been talking online and just, I think, falling in love. Like, she is incredible. Which brings me to the 5th thing that I'm most grateful for 2020, and that is perspective. And that is something that I think Caroline and I both really share. So at the beginning of the pandemic, she fell in love with her now fiance. They had this whirlwind, beautiful romance. And we kind of got to connect and talk about more about what that was like for her.
I'm like, God, show me a sign if he's the one. And, and next thing you know, the signs that I love to see are appearing everywhere. And the feeling that he gave me, from when I'm in Toronto and he's in Edmonton can't be described. I know a lot of people say this, but I've known him before. And until you meet someone like that, it sounds crazy, but I've always waited for that.
The thing about Caroline too is that everything looks so perfect. She's so beautiful, she's so successful. And a lot of people online say, why do you ever complain about anything? But she's actually going through a lot. Like, she had a really tough year. In 2019, she was in this devastating car accident where she should have died.
There would be comments made to me after the accident, like, one day you're going to be extremely grateful for this. And I'm like, how? Because my car was hit off the highway and it went into a tree, and I've had people tell me I should have died, and I walked out. So I had double whiplash, I lost consciousness, but I walked out without a scratch on my body. So that kind of, messed me up too.
So, I mean, luckily she walked away from that, but it has been a big road for her to overcome those health challenges. And 2020 was a year that she accomplished a lot of that. And I think, well, she told me, I don't think that, working through all that and shaking off the toxic positivity of like, this happened for a reason, that led her to her fiance.
With time, I was like, I need to get back to journaling. I joined a writing class. I was like, okay, I'm going to start, I believe in like moon energies and all this stuff. I'm going to start using what I believe in the energies around me and God and journaling and whatever to kind of help me, because nothing else is, and I need to get back into that state of mind. And when I did that, I'm not saying it became easier, but I really, really, really believe that I kind of like opened the door to let his energy in. Now I can say happily that I told him, despite all the stuff I'm dealing with, if I had to go through that accident 100 times in this lifetime and it meant meeting him, I would go through it.
And one thing too that Caroline and I chatted about was, again, perspective, because we're really similar in this way too, in that our whole lives were broadcast. She's on Sportsnet, I was on news in Toronto, and that became our whole world. And I was really happy to sign up for that at the time. Like, I thought that's all I ever wanted. And then you step back, or you're forced to step back because there's a global pandemic, and realize, no, I actually want to live life. I actually really want to go travel to Morocco and ride camels, or I want to be home for dinner with my boyfriend, or I want to be able to see my friends, spend holidays with my family, like whatever it is. It can be small to the huge. You realize how much time in your day was sucked away by work, and then all the hours worrying about work when you weren't at work. So it's been this whole perspective shift for me about not wanting to live for work, but just work to live and actually enjoy my life. And that's something that Caroline and I also have in common.
You get lost in a lot of the industry, and it's a very rewarding job. For as much as work we put in, when you see the end result, you're like, oh, I did that, But it's very easy to get lost into it, and I thought it was everything, and I thought the pressure was something that was normal, and I thought that this is who I am, and if I have to have 15 dogs and be alone for the rest of my life, that's happiness, because my job is everything. And it's not.
This just goes to show you how amazing Caroline is too. She picked her word for the year for 2020, and it's thankful. And I think my word for this year would have to be grateful. I have it tattooed on my foot. When my dad found out, he was not happy, but he said, if you have to have any tattoo, I'm glad it's that word. And I think that this year has really made us all look inward and hold people we love closer and be grateful for the things that we do have. So that's it. That is the last video of 2020. This has also been like a really cool part of the year, is starting this channel and taking that risk and really scaring myself into doing it. And so here we are. And so thank you for coming along for the ride. I've got a lot of, I think, interesting topics coming up for 2021. And hopefully you can just enjoy this little break, enjoy the new year, and reflect back on 2020 and what you got out of it, and your silver linings too. See you in 2021. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.